This is Sean Heflick, and you're listening to Her Per Parade.
It says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You are about to enter Information Overload, a worldwide transmission with Her Per Parade's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Her Per Parade. Thank you for joining us. Streaming live on herperparade.com, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio. I'm your host, Jason Rossi. Just want to remind everyone about the Her Per Parade forum. We just launched that last week. So if you just go on over there and register and share, it's just that easy. Help us grow this thing, and it's for you guys, the user. So, again, we are also starting a monthly newsletter. So we'll be looking for writers and editors. So go on over to herperparade.com and drop us a line, and we'll be sure to hook you up. All right, on with the show. This week's featured breeder of the week is an explorer, conservation biologist, and a wildlife expert. He's been to amazing places in multiple TV shows and publications. He is also one of the hosts of Python Hunters. Sean Heflick is this week's special guest. Sean, welcome to Her Per Parade.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff.
Awesome. Well, we had Greg on last week. I'm not sure if you knew that, but he informed us of that they were not picking up Python Hunters again for another season. So what is your take on that? What do you feel on the decision that they made?
Oh, well, we're pretty sure what happened. I'll just put it right out there. It's, our production company made a huge mistake. You don't do what they did to a major broadcaster and expect things to go on, all nice and sugary. But which is unfortunate. But in the overall scheme of things, that's life, and that's the industry sometimes. It's they kind of bit the hand that fed them, and ultimately, we pay the price for it. But it is what it is. Onward and upward, and we'll see where it takes us.
Awesome. So what do you feel like the future is for reptile breeders and reptile enthusiasts? Do you think everything's all hunky-dory, or do you think, we got to fight against us, or what do you think our current situation is?
Well, obviously, over the last several years, you've got a lot of organizations that are coming at us. HSUS and PETA are two big ones. And ultimately people need to remember their goal and make sure that people realize what their ultimate goal is. Their ultimate goal is not just reptiles. It's not just big constrictors. Their ultimate goal is the ending of all pet keeping, not only in America but throughout the world. They don't want you to have a cat. They don't want you to have a dog. They don't want you to have a bird, a goldfish, nothing. And we're the low-hanging fruit because a lot of people don't understand reptiles. They don't understand, anything that doesn't mirror them with, it's furry and it suckles from a teat and, a mammary gland like we do when we're young. And we don't recognize that in a snake. They've had a bad PR manager for a long time, the whole Garden of Eden and the serpent, and the forbidden fruit. That's unfortunate because obviously we know that animals carry out in the ecosystem. They have intrinsic value like every living thing. They're not the monsters that they're portrayed to be. They're just living out their life, doing what they do, which is, to acquire food, to reproduce. But culturally, we've got a lot of issues with snakes in general, and reptiles as well, because, they are scaly and people call them cold-blooded and they don't understand them. So I think that we should look downstream. We know that the fight is going to have to be continued. And our biggest weapon that we have is to continue to educate people. Continue to tell the truth. Continue to educate people about how the rodent populations, and they have a value and a vital role in the ecosystem, and that they do make good pets. A lot of them make good pets. And yes, they're not traditional pets, but they're not monsters, and they're not out to eat your cat, your dog, your child, and to death. That's just not reality. So education is our biggest weapon, and we've got to continue to do it. We've got to continue to reach out and to the masses and to the politicians, and whether we like it or not, to the news media, and continue to get the word out there and convert the people to the truth one step at a time.
Yeah, it's just amazing how I'll tell somebody that that's what their main goal is, to take all pets away, and they look at me like I'm crazy, like, why are they going to do that? They can never do that, it's just, 9 times out of 10 that's the look I get, but there are a few people out there that do understand it's usually us, the reptile enthusiasts, because we are the ones fighting right now.
Yeah, and it's, and what it has to be is a concerted effort. The people, it's easy to sit back and let the large constrictor people try to handle this battle right now. It's easy for the people that have a frog, a turtle, a little lizard, that feel like they're not affected, to sit back and say that's not my fight. But guess what? It's a slippery slope. So first the large constrictors, and then the monitor lizards, and then the larger lizards like the iguanas, and so forth and so on, until they're all gone. So every single person that keeps a reptile or an amphibian, or just admires them, or possibly in the future would like to have one, or understands their intrinsic value and their value as a pet, their value as a companion, needs to join in this fight. And that's what it is. Let's be honest. It's a fight. It's on. And until we can bring in the masses that are out there, the hundreds of thousands of people that keep reptiles and amphibians, until we can do that, it is going to continue to be an uphill battle.
Everyone's so complacent, busy with work and their family, and, just not having time, I guess. Well,
and that's an easy out, but I don't accept that, because those are the first people that when something happens to them, they cry, poor me. If I could give one message to the reptile and amphibian community, it's get off your butt. I'm blessed in that the fact that I have been able to live my childhood dream. I mean, my wife still accuses me of being that 7-year-old boy just running amok in the fields, right, and having a good time. And, reptiles, whether it be on a science level or biology level, or just privately keeping them and breeding them and enjoying them, have given me a lot in my life. I've gained a lot from that and those relationships. And so I feel like I'm obligated to give back, because I can't imagine a 7-year-old boy like myself not having the ability to own a little red rat snake, or, own a frog as a pet, and to watch it and to study its behavior and bond with it and realize that is a sentient being. That is an animal that deserves my respect and my care, whether it's in an enclosure or it's in the wild. That's how those bonds are made. And I can't imagine there being a day when in America you can't do that. So, that's what I'll continue to do, is to educate people, whether it's all the way up to Congress like I've done multiple times, or it's here locally, or even just somebody on the street, or a yahoo that swerves to hit a snake. And if I can get them to pull over, we'll have a little bit of a dressing down. And that's how it works. And every single person out there has that ability. Even if you're a little kid, you have the ability to educate your grandparents, to your aunt and your uncle, your cousins, even your parents maybe, about these wonderful and magnificent animals. And that's what it's going to take.
I feel reptiles have taught me so much. I mean, just from, keeping them and wanting to learn more about them, and then learning, about breeding them and keeping them. And it's just, nothing but knowledge every day that you're gaining and learning something new. It's a pretty amazing thing.
It is, and it's there are people out there who don't understand that. Let's be honest. There are people out there who have never bonded with a cat or a dog or anything else, and I feel sorry for those people. I feel sorry for those people who have never bonded with wildlife or have a connection of any sort with animals, but they exist. So it is kind of our job to spread the word, and not just about. And for me, it's not just about reptiles. I like it all, So biology and the ecosystems and ecology and wildlife in general is my passion. But I seem to be the champion for underdogs. I seem to like to take on that role. And reptiles are persecuted. They are not understood by a lot of people. And thus my passion in trying to get people to understand, how magnificent these animals are.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's really something that you're doing for us. We appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, so let's hear about that crazy story about the invasive frog study. We want to hear about it.
Oh, which one? When I got my master's?
Yes.
I had started for my PhD in conservation biology, and ended up, my wife got pregnant, and financially we couldn't continue it, so I was a curator of Brevard Zoo. And when I went back to continue my graduate work, there's a lot of obviously marine courses here, and I have a passion for marine biology as well, and just for the water in general. So I took a lot of marine biology courses and ecology courses and conservation courses, and also all the other zoology courses and that go with it. And when it all boiled out, the way they set up the degree system had changed in the time that I had been gone. And so the way they had set it up is I did my thesis on Cuban tree frogs and their diets and niche utilization and that in Brevard County, where I live. And so when it all boiled down, I had a lot of credits for marine ecology and conservation and biology. And so I ended up getting a master in marine biology and ecology and conservation with having done my work on an invasive tree frog, which is a very strange coupling, but it all works out, I guess.
Nice. I remember one time I went out to a cell site down in North Carolina, and it was at night. I was on call, and I got out, and these frogs out there were all over the place, and it was one of the most eerie things I've ever heard and experienced. It was just, oh wow, I'll just never forget that. How many frogs were really out there? I'm not sure.
Yeah, when you go into the Amazon and that, you'll hit pockets where it's so deafening you can't even hear yourself think. It just thousands and thousands of frogs, of males calling and that, and it's pretty cool. But I've kind of always been all over the place like that. I also did research on sensory systems, strangely enough, in ball pythons and western diamondback rattlesnakes when I was in graduate school, and looking at their targeting system and how it innervates on a bimodal neuron in their brain with the normal vision. And so yeah, I've always been all over the place. I like it all. I think that's what keeps me going. I think I was probably ADHD, but they didn't have that moniker, I think, when I was a kid, so I didn't get it. But it worked.
So you worked on Burmese python removal and collected data for Florida Everglades since 2009. So what is your data telling us? Are the numbers dwindling, or what do you got for us?
Oh, without a doubt, the numbers in the Everglades are dwindling. They were never 150,000. That is a number that just really gets under my skin. It's anybody who uses that number is I said this just here recently, is they're ignorant, they're uneducated about the topic, or they're just twisting it for their own agenda. But the winners of 2010, 2011 that were harsh killed countless pythons down there. Conservative estimates put it at 50%, and they will tell you that it is really, really conservative. And then other estimates through actual scientific studies like mine, through USDA APHIS, through Savannah River Ecology will show 90 to 100%. Frank Mazzotti's was 90 to 100%. So, yeah, the population was knocked way back. Are they still down there? Yes. Are they breeding? Yes. Will they ever make their way up into D.C. like some of these fools have said? Absolutely not. Just impossibility. And this whole thing about global warming is a misnomer. It should be called global climate change, and with it is an average increase in the temperature. But what comes with it are really severe extremes, both high and low. So you get colder winters and you get hotter summers. And those colder winters, are what the trick is. It's a tropical species hanging on in a subtropical environment, and it just cannot make its way north. Physiologically, it's just impossible.
But they want to drag it through the media and hype it up and scare everyone to death that this animal is going to come up.
Come on, that's what sells magazines. That's what tells newspapers and people to watch the news. And for politicians, it what gets them reelected because you're the savior of the Everglades, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But the reality is, it's all fear mongering. When you can watch and listen to those things, and the vast majority of it is twisted or just hype and sensationalism. But I guess it works, right? It's human nature to love a train wreck, and
fear sells.
Yeah, that's right. Fear does sell, and they know that. And there are some out there that are worried about the truth. They want to get to the bottom of it. But I'm sorry to say that a lot of our media in the United States has, I don't know, they've derailed. I can barely stand to watch it. Having been in the situation where I know and watch them twist my facts and watch them twist the data for their own agenda is just vulgar.
It's just ridiculous, actually. It's ludicrous, I mean, that,
yeah,
we're supposedly, we're free, but yet we're becoming less free every day, it seems.
It is.
So you have kept and bred over 100 species. Now that's something to say. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I told you I was ADHD. I have, my interest has been from everything from, small dart frogs all the way up to giant crocodiles and everything in between. I used to have one of the largest breeding facilities of elapids, which is the cobra family, in the United States, and I provided a lot of venom labs and zoos and that with those animals to put on their venom line and that. And, I've bred all 4 species of mambas, which I'm not sure I know anybody else who's done that. I'm sure they're out there. But it's a pretty rare thing. I used to have all the Australian hots. A big thing now is I've got the land for it and that and the resources, and I love my crocodilians without a doubt. Very, very proud of the conservation efforts in not only doing in situ conservation, but raising funds for that, and also participating in conservation breeding programs. And, of course, my albino alligators. I love those beasts, and I'm proud to be the first and only person to ever bred them in captivity still. And and my wife is going gangbusters on the ball python morphs. She's a high school biology teacher, and she just recently got into that about 2 years ago. She's having fun with that. And, we keep a little bit of everything. Our place has kind of become a impromptu rescue for a lot of stuff, like giant tortoises like sulcatas and iguanas and monitor lizards and stuff that a lot of people, they're going to college and they can't keep it anymore or what have you. And, we're happy to do it. Somebody's got to do it, I guess. And so, our collection continues to evolve, and sometimes not the direction we had foreseen because of the rescue, but, it's all good.
So what kind of ball python projects are you working with?
Oh, she's got a bunch now. She's, let's just say that she acquired this year GHIs and bananas.
Oh, no.
So she's in with the big dogs now, right?
Yes.
And, she's got some other stuff. She produced 5 firsts this year.
Really?
And this year was really her only second breeding season. So I'm pretty proud of her. She's doing a great job. She's having fun with it and producing some magnificent little animals.
Well, awesome. So you're the only person in the U.S. to be able to keep that's Komodo dragon. That's got to say something about you, right?
Yeah, I guess. I love Komodos. I'm still in acquisition phase, but yeah, both of my facilities have the permits for Komodo dragons, which is the only private individual that I know that has those permits. But I've done a lot of work with monitors. I like monitors. I've had a lot over the years, and they're very dragon-like, much like my crocodiles. And very, very enthralled with monitors, both in the wild and in captivity.
I got to say, I was on your website, and I was watching your Indian cobra video. That's amazing that it showed no aggression. That's a sight to see.
Well, it's amazing, and that's one of the misconceptions. And I even hear people who are wildlife people that are hosting shows make these mistakes. And when a cobra hoods and stands up, that's not a show of aggression. That's a defensive posture. That animal is hissing, and that animal is huffing and puffing and has its ribs spread into the hood to say, look how big I am, you don't want to mess with me. And if you leave that animal alone, if you don't go in that flight or fight response circle, they will simply drop down and slither away and get away from you. That's not an act of aggression. That's totally defensive. But that's part of the problem we face is people don't understand that. The same as a rattlesnake bowing up and rattling. That's an act. That's a posture of defense, not of aggression. And I think people are so fearful of that kind of thing, that it's hard for them to comprehend that we're the predators ultimately on those animals, and those animals are afraid of us. No push come to shove, they'll defend themselves, but that's what it is, defense.
That makes me think back to the episode we had Brian Gundy, and he said he was at a meeting, and they had all these experts on a panel, and someone fielded a question from the audience asking which snake is, the most aggressive out of, all these snakes, and he was like, none of them, they're not aggressive.
True. I'd agree with that. No, there are those that when they get large enough, have been reported to go ahead and try to take a go at humans, but you're talking about retics that are reaching 20 plus feet, and they're in the wild and on very, very rare and verifiable occasions have has that been the case. But we talk about even crocodiles. Talk about probably the one reptile that is really ultimately the monster we think about. There are a handful of crocodile species that when they get big and old, they have the ability to put us on the menu, and sometimes they do. But 99.9% of all the other ones are just trying to make a living in this world and would much rather be left alone.
Just like most Americans, just to be left alone and go about their business.
That's right. That's right.
So, okay, you got Art by Evolution. Why don't you tell our listeners about that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, boy, I've been doing ever since I was a little kid on the farm in Ohio. Been finding bird skeletons and things like that, and was just really fascinated with that kind of thing. And so for about 20 plus years, I've been doing skull and skeleton articulations. I've done them for museums and scientists all over the world. And here recently, I just did a 12-foot full crocodile skeleton up high walking was the mount, and I did that I did that 12-foot crocodile in 5 days,
wow.
Which is a record for me. Matter of fact, my other friends that do it said it was impossible. There's no way that could be reconstructed in 5 days. But it did. They can go on my Facebook page and see pictures. I was extremely happy with the results. Actually wanted to keep the thing myself, but I couldn't. It was pretty magnificent.
Well, I'll tell you, the night before I went on your website, I was going through Netflix and I saw this skeleton ink. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that yet. Have you?
Oh no.
Oh, it's exactly what you do, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. And they actually did a lion, and I was like, wow, that is a process, and definitely it was an insight for sure in how that stuff is done.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So the Wildland Tours, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it all started out, I've been going down to the Amazon Basin of Peru for about 16 plus years now, working conservation down there in the Amazon. And I don't know, it was about 10 years ago maybe that, as I mentioned, my wife is a high school biology teacher. And I was going down, the family was going down this summer, and we thought, you know what, why don't we take a group of high school, kids with us? So we took 10 kids down in the Amazon Basin and just had the time of our lives. We went for, I think, 12 days, and it was just magnificent. We saw those kids literally transform before our eyes. When you go down into that, obviously it's a developing nation, and they see the poverty, and they see how these people are living, along the Amazon and in the jungles and in these small villages, and they have nothing, not even electricity, and yet they're happy. And they're having a great life. Family's important to them. And we could just watch them transform right before us, and when we came back, a lot of the parents are like, wow, what happened? They are so courteous and just so much more happy. And so we started doing that. And then I started taking, other expeditions for scientists and just herpers or birders or whatever. And, done a lot of trips into Africa and even Sumatra and Borneo, Komodo Islands. And it's what I love. If there's anything I love more than biology, it's sharing that. It's sharing that knowledge of wildlife and knowledge of ecology and knowledge of conservation with people and getting them excited. Like I am, like I have been my whole life.
Sharing your experiences and your passion and your love with other people, that's definitely going to convert some people that, haven't been experienced to that themselves,
That's my hope. That's my goal.
Well, I might have to take you up on one of your trips there and get in contact with you and have me and the wife go down. I don't know, how young of kids can you take? What's the age limit? We
took our son the first time when he was 6.5 years old, and
wow.
Actually took him to an old cannibal tribe, and that we hiked into the forest, and they offered him a wife because of his red hair. They thought he was like a shaman. They thought he had supernatural powers. They'd never seen a human with red hair. And so, it all depends on the parents. People told us we were crazy, but now I have a son who is very knowledgeable about wildlife, loves wildlife, very passionate about it, and he graduates from high school this year, and he wants to be a wildlife veterinarian. So I'd count that as a success story.
Yeah, I'd count that as a win in the books.
Yep.
All right, well, I was talking with Brock Wagner on an episode here not too long ago, and he said that you had the best explanation for the banana sex link. So you want to break it down for us so we can understand a little better?
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, I think, there's been a lot of talk about these mail makers and the sex link. And part of the confusion out there, this is, honestly, it's a bit of a long conversation, probably longer than we have here, but, part of the confusion is a lot of people don't understand what sex linked really means. And they like to kind of compare it to calico cats and things of that nature, and that's a totally different phenomenon within the physiology and the genetics with that, and that has to do with supercoiling of the X chromosome and all of that, which is just totally different than ball python genetics. So that's a misnomer for one thing. When you hear somebody compare the two right away, that's a problem. That's an issue, and they shouldn't be compared. But also, a lot of people say, well, look, if this is a true sex-linked gene or phenomenon, and these male makers make, a female here or there, it's absolutely impossible for that to be sex-linked. And that's not true. I happen to be colorblind, which is probably one of the most, textbooks famous sex-linked mutations. And almost every colorblind person out there is male. But I said almost. There are females that are colorblind. It is a rarity, but it occurs. So a lot of people can't get past this male-making mechanism because, and you'll hear them say, well, it can't be sex-linked because females have been produced. Well, that's absolutely untrue. It can be sex-linked, and some females are produced. I can't tell you 100% that is the case. I have not produced, and talking to Brock tells me a lot of the numbers that he's producing with males and that, and others are saying the same thing. And it sounds like very much so. There is a sex-linked component in there. There's definitely something going on that is, outside the norm for probability, for the different numbers of females and males being produced. What's the mechanism? We don't know. But it very much so, and I'm trying to make this as simple as possible because if I don't, it's gonna we're gonna go down that road where everybody's scratching their head, and we don't have that much time anyway. But to just make it short is, it does look like it's sex linked, and time will tell with the more and more numbers that are produced as more and more people get these animals, and we can track that data. Hopefully people are keeping those numbers, right, in the records. But as it is right now, with all of the males and male makers that are out there, I'm giving it about a 95 to 99% probability that it is indeed a sex-linked trait that we're seeing.
So what about the sex-linked females then out of the clutch? Are they going to be producing males or the opposite?
That's a good question, and I don't think we have enough data to even say that because, the number of females generated by a sex-linked male or a male maker is so low that our sample size is small, right? So, like I said, definitely with the females, time will tell. And we just need to sit back, and hopefully people are collecting that data and writing it down, and we'll be able to figure it out.
Keep good notes.
That probably just left you more confused because we just don't have the time to get into it. But
No, that's fine. I mean, we have plenty of time, and it doesn't matter. You broke it down pretty good, though. I understand.
Yeah, the biggest misnomer is people don't understand genetics. People don't understand that, the different things, like I said, that females can be produced in a sex-linked trait. And, that it is different than the phenomena within the calico cat, and it has to do with the supercoiling of the X chromosome and whether it's black or brown gene that is supercoiled on that chromosome. But so it's hard to talk genetics with a lot of people because they haven't been trained in it, and I can see when I do it they gloss over and their eyes get watery and they get sleepy. But, it's one of those things where I was just speaking with Brock today. Matter of fact, on the phone we were talking about, man, if I was a multi-millionaire, I'd love to sort out the genetics on ball pythons on these different clades, right? These different groups of animals, like all these animals that are producing, the blue-eye Lucies or the black-eye Lucies, that complex of animals. And what we'd probably find out is that they are, that those genes are related. And in the different complexes, like, this group of 10, this group of 12 over here is totally different. And it probably has to do with, cascading effects of enzymes and proteins, with pigment generation or the uptake of pigment. But that stuff, really interests me, and if I had all the time and all the money in the world, we'd knock that out. But I don't have either.
Let's put it on the bucket list.
We can do that.
So you also do speaking engagements.
Yeah, I've done some interesting stuff for universities and was keynote speaker for the Naples Zoo and Botanical Gardens, and had a great time. Raised a record amount of funding for their exhibit, and just a really good time, and like I said, my passion, if there's one thing greater than the biology and the conservation and that, it is educating people about that, is talking to people about that passion and trying to get them jazzed up about it. So yeah, I've done speaking engagements, at expos, reptile expos, and universities and herp societies, and you name it. And it's good to get out there and talk to the masses and meet them, and was able to do one at Toronto Zoo, and had a wonderful time. Matter of fact, I did the talk on feral cats to several hundred people, and it was fun, and hopefully we made some converts up there. But yeah, just one of the many hats I wear, I guess.
Man, I must tell you, it must be something else walking a day in your shoes. You got a lot going on, and it sounds like nothing but adventure and discovering new things. It's awesome, man.
No day is ever the same, but it's not all glamorous. I do my fair share of mucking out cages and changing water bowls, and just like the rest of y'all do. So it's not all glitz and glamour. That's for sure.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we end this transmission?
Well, yeah, let me say this. There's a lot of turmoil right now in the herp community. This thing with Herp Alliance and USARC and PJAC, and there's a lot of people that don't have the facts and are just putting wild speculation out there, and it's heated, it's getting personal, it's getting ugly, and if we're going to be able to progress, we need to work together as groups. And I'll tell you who I support. I support any and all organizations who are willing to educate the masses and the politicians about reptiles and amphibians, about conservation, about responsible pet keeping. And sometimes we all like to set up picket fences, and this is my territory, that's your territory. But it's going to take a united front. I've worked with people that I didn't necessarily care for or that I fought tooth and nail with, but when we have a common enemy, sometimes you got to come together and you got to swallow that pride and you got to do what's right. And you got to get the truth out there. You got to let the data and the facts speak for themselves, and hope that the rest of the world, the outside world, gets it. And so I would say to anybody listening, stop thinking you know what's going on, and try to make the world what you want it to be, which is more reptile friendly, more conservation friendly, more wildlife friendly, and focus on that goal and let all this other stuff just drop by the wayside.
Because if we let them divide us now, then we can't unite and come together and win the fight. Am I right?
Divide and conquer, brother. Divide and conquer. That's the one of the oldest techniques in war, right? So
yes,
we've got to be bigger than that.
Awesome. So wait, you were also in the military. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I was 18 years old in Central America. Right, that was a good time down in Nicaragua and Honduras, and I was an adrenaline junkie, still am a little bit, and it was an eye opener for me, but it taught me discipline, and it really was the first time that I was ever in a tropical jungle, a rainforest, and I fell in love with it, and I've been hooked ever since.
So you can probably thank the Army for your love of the Amazon.
Actually, probably my grandfather, who bought me, strangely enough, when I was a kid, he bought me the whole unabridged series, 24 books of Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan. And even though that was set in Africa, it lent itself very easily to the Amazon basin, the rainforest of the Amazon. And strangely enough, when I was there for the first time, it was a weird sensation to feel like I was at home and never having been physically to a place like that. But I had read every one of those Tarzan books, all 24 of them, so many times over and over again. By the time I was a teenager, it was crazy. So the military just provided me my first waltz into that system. But,
real world mission.
Yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs hooked me up with the imagination.
Awesome. So what was your MOS?
31 Charlie, Combat Communications Specialist.
Nice, man. I was 31 Romeo.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Fun and games.
Airborne.
Fun and games. But it's all good. What else you got? Any other questions?
That was basically it, man. Just wanted to thank you for coming on the show, and know you're a busy guy, definitely, and just really appreciate you taking time out and talking with us. Sure thing. My pleasure. All right, make sure to check out Sean's website, SeanHefflick.com. All right, now remember to go over to herperparade.com and register and start sharing. Help us grow. Tell a friend about us. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Her Per Parade. We are streaming live on herperparade.com, iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Her Per Parade, out.